The Burnout Uprising 2024's wake up call and what's coming in 2025. Were you a person who was involved in the Burnout Uprising? Well, we're going to talk about that today. My name is Camesha Jones Brandon, and I am a licensed clinical social worker, recovering workaholic, and burnout overcomer. Moving Beyond Burnout empowers Black women to cultivate self-awareness and to create practical pathways to overcome burnout for good. So if you're joining me for the first time or the second, third, or fourth, please like the video. Please share it with someone who you know is struggling with burnout. And please also subscribe to the YouTube channel and also my newsletter if you are on LinkedIn. So Happy New Year, everyone. We made it to 2025. Yay! But I do want to do a recap of 2024 and also what we can expect in 2025. So this year was a major year in terms of burnout. Burnout was all over the news. On LinkedIn, I saw people talking about it in my circles with my friends and other people in community. And there were some very key things that have happened in 2024 that you may have noticed or you may have been a part of or may have questioned in 2024. So I'm going to go over those things. And then lastly, I want to talk about what we can expect in 2025. So top moments of 2024 with burnout. First is the great exhaustion. So employee burnout being at an all-time high. So in an article that I came across, I think it may have been in Fortune or Forbes, that employee burnout is at 82%. So 82% of people who are working are experiencing burnout. That is horrible, right? I would love for it to be at 0%, but the fact that 4 out of 5 people are experiencing burnout is definitely something that we have to be paying attention to. And I think it's to the point that employers are also noticing that burnout affects so many different things. And then in people's personal lives, what is happening at work is also creating additional stresses to what they may already be experiencing in their personal life. So this year was truly the great exhaustion. So people were honest about burnout, talking about it. Employers were really starting to take notice, and people are just exhausted and tired. So the next top moment of 2024 was the battle between return to office and remote work. So with the pandemic, we saw, we had evidence that people could work from home and still be effective in their jobs. And for some people, if they were in a toxic work environment, being at home was honestly a source of protection for people to not have to interact or deal with people in the office. However, in 2024, there were more employers that were demanding that people go back to work. And then there were people who were doing remote work who were like, I don't need to go back to work in person because I can do my job from home. So there was a huge battle between the return to office standpoint, and then also people wanting remote work because we've seen evidence that you can do it and it works. And so that was a huge battle. I think it's going to spill over even more into 2025. And there were so many economic reasons and honestly control reasons why people wanted their employees to return to work, even though we saw that it was already working remotely. The next top moment of 2024 was Black women resisting burnout with rest. So that has, I believe it maybe really caught on social media and in networks in 2023, but in 2024, there were more Black women who were talking about rest. More people actively thinking about their relationship to work, their relationship to money, capitalism, and how we deserve rest. And even when we think about what happened over the last couple of months with the election, there were so many Black women said, I'm done. Like, I'm resting. I'm not doing anymore. I'm not overextending. And so we saw a really beautiful movement of Black women resisting burnout and also really amplifying the need for rest. The next one is challenging productivity culture. So this also relates to rest. That was a buzzword for 2024, which was productivity culture. And so there were, people saying like, I don't have to be productive all the time, or why does productivity matter so much in terms of my value and what I put forth? And so there were people who started to challenge, especially in workplaces and even in other areas of your life, the need to be productive all the time and to be productive at a certain level, because we're not machines and we can't be productive all the time. And it can sometimes do damage to be focused on being productive all of the time in all spaces. And so the last big moment of 2024 was the ending of the Great Resignation. So there was a period, I would say between 20 to 2022, 2023, where there was this big Great Resignation where people were leaving their jobs, people were looking for other work. And so employers were experiencing a lot of people leaving the workplace to look for other opportunities, or people not even returning back to the industry that they were working in. However, because of the tension with more companies doing layoffs, tighter economic and political climates, the ending of the Great Resignation has happened. So there are still people who are looking to resign from work, but people are actually being more intentional and more strategic because of the times that we're heading into for 2025. So those were the top 4 moments of burnout for 2024. So now I want to talk about what's coming in 2025. These are things that I feel like are going to happen because of what's happened this year and years before. And honestly, some things that I'm seeing starting to shift in the news, in circles, in social, economic, and political discourse. So the first thing that I think is going to happen in 2025 is that people are going to start decentering work. And what I mean by that is people are going to stop making work the centerpiece of their life, the centerpiece of their purpose, and the centerpiece of they're just going to stop making it the centerpiece. And so you're going to see more people who are actually going to try to pour into other areas of their lives. You're going to see people who are not going to put in as much effort at work because of all the things and all the dynamics that have happened over the past couple of years. So I believe that there is going to be a movement for decentering work happen all across the country. The next thing is for Black women that there's going to be an end of overworking and overextending. So a part of the great exhaustion that happened in 2024 is people are realizing that they're overworking and overextending, and especially Black women. So I think there are going to be more Black women who are going to be putting up boundaries, more Black women who are going to be saying, not really finding their identity in overworking. I see Black women taking things off their plates and not overextending themselves anymore. So I see that happening in 2025, especially as we're coming off the self-care, the boundaries, the rest movement, the soft life movement. All of those things are going to lead to the end of overworking and overextending. The next is staff retention is going to continue to be an issue. So with the changing dynamics in the workplace, people are not as loyal to their work environments as they used to be in the past. And so there are going to be more people who are going to jump ship if they don't like something in the workplace. There are going to be more people who are going to be less tolerant of some of the practices that have been happening for decades in the workplace that can cause a lot of tension and a lot of stress. So I think that employers really have to focus on staff retention. Even for myself and my organization, I'm really honing in on staff retention because it takes time to recruit staff. And when you lose staff, it has a bigger impact than I think people realize. And so I think people, especially who are in HR, who are in positions of power, need to really hunker down on staff retention because people are leaving jobs easier, even in this environment. So the next is political and economic climate could shift certain industries. So we've talked about the rollbacks of DEI, also, other economic and political moves that are happening that impact the workplace. Layoffs, we're honestly in a recession right now. If you don't think we're in a recession, you're not paying attention. And so the economic climate and then the political climate will shift certain industries. And then there will be certain industries that thrive during this time as well. But just know that in 2025, what's happening economically and politically will shift certain industries. I'm currently a nonprofit, and that industry is shifting, right? Because of the political and the economic climate. So just pay attention to those things as well. And then the last thing, which I hate to say, but I know that it's happening and is going to happen, is that mental health concerns could increase because of the multiple stressors and tension. So I usually see these, social issues impacting people's mental health. So if more people are exhausted, if more people are burnt out, if they're experiencing all these different stressors, we could kind of go backwards in regards to mental health, in terms of people experiencing more elevated severity and concerns. I think there's going to be more people, especially Black women, who are going to be dealing with high functioning depression, high functioning anxiety. There's going to be even issues with basic stability, right? To be able to take care of your basic needs because of what's happening with all these stresses and tension in the world. So unfortunately, I do see that mental health concerns are going to increase in 2025 because of the climate. So these were, the top moments of 2024, and then also things that you should be paying attention to, or I predict could be happening in 2025. As I always tell people, when it comes to burnout, you have so much more power than you may realize. And you can overcome burnout even in these situations, but it takes a very intentional analysis of where you're at, your environment, and honestly where you want to be. So even with what's happened in 2024, even what I foresee happening in 2025, I would like you to begin to think about what is, either your burnout recovery plan, or, what do you want to do to begin to move your life in another direction? And unfortunately, because of all these different things that are outside of our control, it can make things really challenging and unpredictable. But I'm bringing up all these things so that you all can think about it, maybe even research, go on Google and just see what's happening on social media, all those things, and think about what kind of year that you really want to have in 2025. Another thing is that I am facilitating a 4-week group it's called the Moving Beyond Burnout group for Black women. And so it starts next Tuesday. So if you are a Black woman and you are looking to end the cycle of burnout, to have a stress-free year and to live with ease, this group is for you. I will put a link to sign up for the group in the description. I would love for you to join me. It's a 4-week commitment, meeting every Tuesday in the evening. And this can be something that can really help to put things in a great place for 2025 and for you to begin to heal from burnout and overcome it for good. So my next topic, which will be in 2 weeks, is Black women healing from exhaustion. So I'm going to be expounding a lot more on what I've talked about today and the beautiful ways that I'm seeing Black women all across the world heal from exhaustion. So join me every other Thursday at 12 p.m. Central Time. Please like the video, share it with someone that you know is looking to overcome burnout. And then please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my newsletter. It comes out every 2 weeks. And I cover pretty much what's happening in burnout and especially what's happening with Black women in burnout. So I will see you all in 2 weeks. Happy New Year to you again, and take care of all of you and be well.